Well, hello guys, what's up? This is ScherBR talking. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is about the universe. We'll be giving a look on all the characters from Battle of Fate banner because we only talked about Rouge and Blue. Now I'll be giving a better look on them and also be talking about the event because there's a lot of things on this event that we need to talk. Let's just go straight to it by clicking on Summon Details. The first character we can talk about is Blue. Blue is a beast. Both him and his twin brother, Blue and Rouge, are now very good characters because they received a global buff to their status and also to two of their own attacks. The first attack is called Light Ball. We all know this attack already too much. It's an AoE attack with E power. It's 7 modifier instead of 9 from Rouge because this one has an added effect. Usually when you have an added effect you have less power, so it inflicts darkness on targets as well. But darkness is not important on this game. But nevertheless, Light Ball is useful because it's a cheap AoE attack that you can use especially on stages where you find Undead, since they are always weak against Sun. So the next attack is called Saber Ray, and Saber Ray was changed for global. It's an attack that uses Sun damage again, but also slash damage. It's an interesting combination. I don't remember seeing much of this. I think that Final Empress can use the same combination, but she's a physical damage dealer, while we have Blue being a magical damage dealer. He has an 8 power, just similar to Final Empress, and uses 8 BP, can be reduced to 6. It's an indirect attack, so it will not be countered, unlike Final Empress. They both work super well together, and because it's also slash damage, it allows Blue to work well when used in squads that also uses slash damage. Like, say, you can use Dragoon Strike formation that increases STR for 4 frontal characters, and use Blue in the backline, also dealing slash damage. That allows him to participate in a lot of different stages for farming. That's interesting because you can also build Blue just for single target damage or just for AoE damage. There's an interesting thing about Saber Ray is that because it was buffed for global to add slash damage, this skill is not unique to Blue. This skill here can be used by other characters. And to further explain, Saber Ray can be used by Mei-Ling, also Princess White Rose second style, and Gathered. All those characters are very far from release. I believe that we will be getting the Princess White Rose first, then Mei-Ling, and lastly Gathered. The last skill is called Storm Burst. This attack here is an amazing attack. You can already see by the animation. It's one of the most beautiful animations in this game. Storm Burst was also changed for global. It's a double S power damage. It starts with 13 BP, can be reduced to 10, so you can launch this attack on turn 1, so it's super strong. It was buffed for global in the case of adding heat damage alongside sun damage. A lot of enemies are weak to heat, but not weak to sun. Most of the time when you are facing an Undead, it's both weak to sun and heat, but there are enemies only weak to heat, so he will be able to unleash a very strong attack. He's considered one of the best sun mages in the Japanese version of the game up to this day, so the global version makes him even better, also adding heat damage. Diversity is always very important in this game, and building a character that can do lots of different damage will allow him to be used for a long period of time, especially on challenges where we need burst damage to avoid having a fight that would take too much to finish. So now let's just give a look on his abilities. He gets a lot of good abilities because he was also buffed for global. The first one is Kicking in Magic. He has 25% chance of increasing his own intelligence by 20%. That happens on the start of a turn, so it becomes more useful than characters that only trigger buffs when they attack. The second is called Weak Point Focus. He will get 15% increase in damage when he is dealing a strong attack against a weak enemy. Because he has 3 different elements, he will be doing this most of the time. I believe that you will only use Blue when you have enemies weak against sun, heat, or slash. Usually if you don't have any of these weaknesses, he'll be using another character. The third passive is called the Fired Up 4, and it increases damage by 15%. So what we have is 30% increase in damage and a buff to intelligence that may trigger before he even attacks. Blue is a very strong character because of all the buffs, but not only that, He also got a buff to his own status. You can see on this image on the left that he had a very average agility on 48% increase, and now he has 76% increase. That makes blue better for single target damage and also AoE damage, because when you use characters for AoE damage, you want them to fire their spells fast so you can clear waves before being attacked. He lost some status on love and shot, and we don't need those status with blue, so the buff was a very incredible thing that only make blue better. Now we need to talk about inheritance, because this blue has a very interesting setup for both AoE and single target damage. We need an opener that can help reduce his BP so that he can keep using light bow. But in case of blue, you don't need to stick to light bow. You can learn heat wave from this S style that you can get on his own event, because this one is a very interesting attack. It decreases agility of your enemies. If you are using blue alongside Princess White Rose, you have 2 agility debuffers, and not only that, heat wave does not lose too much power when compared to other AoE attacks. You can reduce this to 6, so it becomes even better to trigger. You can use this 2 times in a row, so you would buff agility 2 times in a row, because you reduce it to 6. So 6 plus 6 equals 12. You still have 12 on turn 2, and then light ball on turn 3. So this is a 3 turns rotation that makes blue very good on agility because of agility debuff. The problem is that heat wave is only heat, does not have the sun property. But most stages where you have enemies weak to sun, they are also weak to heat. That is only if they are immune that. Some of the other enemies will kind of break this rule. So when it works, it's fine. If you don't have enemies that are weak to heat, it may be better to inherit another thing. Like Wildfire is a skill that you can learn with his Platinum style. I think there's also another skill like Solar Wind. This one is both sun and heat. And this one is a little weaker, very close in damage, but you can also start with this one. So when you do this, you kind of make your blue AoE attacker, but that's not the only way to play with him. If you want your blue to be a single target specialist, you can awaken Storm Burst, the last attack, to max, so it will be 10 BP on the start of a turn, and then you just awaken Saber Ray 2 times, and he will just use Saber Ray in 1 turn and a normal attack in another turn. So 1 skill, 1 attack, 1 skill, 1 attack. That allows blue to be a strong damage dealer for stages where you have less enemies. So this is blue. I do believe that he's one of the best characters in the game. Right now he receives a 10 out of 10. Okay, so now we have Rouge, and Rouge is very similar to blue, but with a different element. He has Dark Sizzle. This spell is an AoE attack, a little stronger than Light Ball. It has still 8 damage, very good for cheap AoE because it starts with 5 BP, can be reduced to 4, so you can keep using this for a long time. And Dark Sizzle is also used by Judy. If you have Judy, you already know this spell. They both work very well together to use AoE spells from the Dark element. And the second skill is called Darkbringer. Darkbringer is a very interesting skill that has a combination of Moon and Pierce damage. This was what was changed for global. It's a buff. It was only Moon damage. And now we have a skill that's super strong with 8 power and 8 BP. Can be reduced to 6, so it's easier to cycle. And that allows Rouge to be very similar to what we have with Emelia. Emelia was a character that could only produce blunt damage in the Japanese version of the game. And now in global she can do blunt plus pierce. That's very similar with Rouge. He was only able to do Moon damage, and now it's Moon plus Pierce. That's a combination that I have never seen before, and will allow him to be used in different formations and in different content to get even more damage and without having to change your squad entirely. It's also worth to note that no other character learns this spell even now in Japan. The last skill is also unique, called Raging Gust, and Raging Gust is another buffed skill. The animation is super awesome, and the damage is both Moon and Cold. And guys, we really need cold damage in this game. We don't have many characters that are able to produce cold damage, and some of those that we have cannot unleash a very strong skill on turn 1, like Cordelia. She cannot use it on turn 1. While we have this guy here using a very powerful attack that is both Moon and Cold. Double S damage, 13 VP, can reduce it to 10, so you can use it on turn 1 for a lot of good content in the game. That allows him to be one of the best cold damage dealers without being a specialist in cold damage. This is another thing that raises his potential as a character that will keep being useful for times and times to come. And now that he uses cold attacks as well, he is a very good pair to use in where you need a lot of cold damage. And now for his abilities, they are the same as Blue. He has 25% chance of getting an intelligence buff on the start of a turn and up to 30% increase in damage by Fired Up 4 and Weak Point Focus 3 when he is dealing a strong attack against a weak enemy. So both has same potential, but there's a small difference between them that I talked in my past video, and is that Blue has more damage on single target, especially on his last skill, while Rouge will have more damage with AoE attacks. They have different AoE patterns, so Rouge will use a different pattern for AoE, while Blue will have more utility with AoE. And in order to become a full AoE damage dealer, he needs to inherit Energy Storm from his S style. This S style is given from free during the event, so everyone will have access to this, and even if you miss the event, there's still a way to farm him through story mode. So he starts with Energy Storm on 8 BP, and then he changes for Dark Sizzle 2 times in a row. Rouge will not have a debuff on this cycling, but you can also inherit another thing to another purpose, and that is Shadow Chains. This version of Rouge has higher agility and higher intelligence, so he will be able to inflict paralyze more often than the past one that we always use it in the game. SS Rouge seeking his other half is still useful because of drain energy if you need him to solo content, like I explained it in a past video on this channel. But if you don't need healing all the time, you will be using the new Rouge. You forget about the past one forever. So Rouge is super strong. I already got him. I have to summon because this banner is awesome. And I do believe that just like Blue, he is one of the best characters in the game available right now. And I give him a 10 out of 10. And now it's time to talk about Emelia, and sadly she's not as strong as both characters. She has Trick Shot, and this attack is kind of a waste in my opinion. It doesn't have much power, it's only C, 5 BP. The second one is Bounce Shot. We already know this attack a lot, since a lot of gunners have it. It's a very good attack with 8 power in 8 BP, can be reduced to 6. It's a very good cycle, better than Trick Shot. And the last attack is Baryon Magnum. This attack here could be better if this character was better, because it's 12 BP, double S power, so okay, we'll have some characters that can do the same, just like Beer Crush for Great Sword users. It's a very good damage, and without having to cost too much BP, can be used every 3 turns. Seems good, right? But because she faces a lot of competition in the gun position, unless you didn't summon for any other gunner, she is so average. She also enters Stealth when the skill is used, and Stealth is not so useful for gunners in my opinion, because they already are used in formations that decrease their agilities and their chances of being attacked. Okay, let's give a look on her passives, and she starts with Hardy Wallop. The damage increases when she's on full HP. I already don't like this too much with gunners because they have lower agility, they can be attacked, and you will not be on full HP unless you have a very high agility with your character and your enemies are slow. The second passive is called Inconspicuous and makes her enter Stealth chance on the start of a round. I don't think it's useful at all. She already has Stealth with the skill, and double Stealth doesn't really work. We don't need this, and it's a waste of potential. The last passive is called Fired Up 4 and increases damage by 15%. And I think we are spoiled here because the first Emelia is so strong that we don't need this Emelia to do anything that the other already can. She is way better than this one. When looking at both character status, you can see that the first Emelia has a higher dexterity but a lower agility. And like I said, we need more dexterity than agility with gunners since they already have lower agility because of formations. And that's the reason why this version of Emelia is super average. So that's the whole reason why I'll be giving this Emelia a 5 out of 10. Okay, so the next one is Alkhaiser, and man, Alkhaiser is so good and bad on the same time that we have to talk about it. He starts with Right Fist. This attack is both blunt and stun, but why does it have an increased cost? C power with 6 BP as a first skill is one of the highest costs the game has. I don't understand this, why they give him such a high cost. I believe that it was because back in these days they didn't have so many different elemental damage dealers, and he also has a passive that increases his BP on start, so maybe that's the reason why, but this kind of affects his potential for cycling. The second one is All Blaster, is still a blunt and stun damage, and we need to talk about blunt and stun together. Well, most of the undeads that are like skeletons or stuff are both weak to blunt and stun. What helps him is that some enemies are weak against stun but not blunt, but not undeads, you understand? So he will be useful in more squad compositions, but the price that he's paying here is reducing his power and increasing his cost. All Blaster has B power instead of an A, and it costs 90 BP. You know, like I said, it's a price that he needs to pay to be double elemental. The last attack is called Real Phoenix, and man, this is where everything starts becoming good again. Look at the animation of this skill. I believe it's the most beautiful attack in the game, and Real Phoenix can be used on turn 1. It's a very strong attack, triple S power, and you may ask me, how does he use this on turn 1? Because it's 15 BP cost. Well, he has power charge too, just like Emelia. And this can be used in a lot of situations, like the Hidden Dojo, Robbing Coop, or some challenges where you don't need to keep playing for too long and you need a fast, strong opener. But let's just give a look on his passives. The first one, like I said, is power charge, so 2 more BP on the start of a fight. He starts with 12, so that's the reason why he can use a triple S attack on the first turn. Just like Emelia could do, he can also do. Both work super well together, actually. You don't need to just think about one replacing the another. Especially if you are trying to do blunt damage in some content. You can use Divine Wall formation and have Alkaiser in the front line, while you have your Emelia in the back lines. The second passive of Alkaiser is Draining Attack, and he can recover HP with a 25% chance when he attacks. This is good and bad, because he could have used more damage since he has more cost. And the last one is Fired Up 4 that increases his damage by 15%. It's the only passive that increases his damage. He doesn't have any passive that increases status as well, so you kinda only have 15% and that's it. So it's good because it's fast. It's good because it's reliable turn 1 damage. But after that, he does not have many reasons to keep using the first 2 skills. What you need to do here is inherit submission through his A style that everyone has access to, so that he starts with Real Phoenix and then he uses submission every once in a while. Turn 1, Real Phoenix, turn 2, normal attack, turn 3, submission, and then keeps going between submission cycles. Alkaiser has very good agility in STR, as we can see in this picture. Actually, his agility is not the best in the game, but it's still very high, and his STR is a little higher. So maybe even if you cannot bring him to a formation that increases agility, you can still bring him to formations that increases STR. The problem is that Martial Artists uses both STR and agility to increase damage, and he's better on a Happy String formation. If you can bring a full squad of Martial Artists, he also works super fine because he needs both status. Well, this allows your Alkaiser to be a very strong character that will keep being useful for turn 1 damage and maybe submission if you lack especially the buffers. I will give Alkaiser an 8.5 out of 10 because of his usage, his diversity of bringing some damage where we always need more elemental damage in the game. So this ends the 4 SS styles, and the S and A styles that are remaining are mostly for inheritance. We have a new character here called Princess Ray, and Princess Ray is a specialist on status ailments. The first attack is called Black Cat, And Black Cat tries to confuse enemies. It's an interesting attack. It has a low chance, it's okay. It has a good damage, it's D. And it can be reduced to 3 BP, so she can keep using this. That's super interesting. The only problem is that she is an S style with not much intelligence. The second attack is called Nightmare, and this one is kind of interesting as well since we don't have many sleep attacks. It's 9 BP, cost only B power, so kind of unbalanced, and has medium chance to inflict sleep. Very good if you are searching for sleep, but it cannot be easily spammed. You cannot even use this twice in a row. We have Mesmerize, an attack that can be used by Fatima and Robin, and they also have medium chance, and they only cost 3 BP. Way better skill to just keep spamming. The last attack is called Cockatrice, and this one I think is the most interesting of them all, because Cockatrice tries to inflict Petrify. Petrify lasts for 5 turns, it's the strongest status augment in the game, and this time, on this attack, it has medium chance. We don't have many Petrify sources in this game, and having one with a medium chance is super interesting for Robin Cup especially, but you may need to keep retrying. And also Hidden Dojo, and some specific challenges maybe in the future. Like I said, the problem is that she's an S style, but when you get her SS style, you will be able to just inherit the skills and make a better status augment inflictor. Well, giving a look on his style details, we can see that she has Enervate Intelligence. Doesn't really make sense, because she needs to debuff the will of the enemy to inflict more status augments, and not the intelligence. The second attack increases her own intelligence with a medium chance, and that allows her to get more chances of inflicting status, so this is okay. The third one is damage increases. I wouldn't prefer anything else, like even a healing or a reduced damage, because, well, she's not made for damage. All of her skills have bad damage, actually. Well, that's Princess Ray. The next one is Robin Fake. We already have a lot of different styles for Robin Fake. This one is only for inheritance. Again, we have a free version of him. There's no reason to use this one unless we have some interesting passives, and we kind of do. The best thing here is Feint, because Feint is medium chance to inflict stun. If you have a maxed Fake Robin, you have an average chance of inflicting stun. And then we have Light Speed, and Light Speed is an attack that is better now but better in the future, because it gets updated to A power, and it also increases agility of the user. So very nice, because it means that your feint will work better once you have higher agility. Unless you are using him on the front lines, you always have to attack later than your enemies. He also has access to Golden Note, but this one is not needed since we have Mega Trust with our original Robin. And now let's just give a look on the passives. There's one that is interesting. It's Enervate 2 Dexterity. The first one is Enervate 2 Agility. So he can debuff Agility and Dexterity on the same times, but no attack of him can really debuff anything. So he is relying on the passive triggering of these abilities, and that's not so reliable. But I still don't think it's reason enough to build this Robin. The next character here is Meiling. It's the first style of Meiling we get in the game. She's a very interesting character. And the first attack is Sharpshoot. This attack here is actually very nice because it's cheap. And you can reduce to 2 BP only. D power, blunt damage. The second attack is called Solar Wind. This is a spell that even Blue can use. Yeah, she's a gunner with spells. So you need a gun that is also from Sun. Super different character than compared to the other gunners. The good thing is that we have double element, but she cannot keep using this forever. Maybe to start a stage where you need some damage, only for inheritance. Melee get an SS style in the future. And the last one is Stun Shot, another AoE attack, but Stun Shot is for stun, has a medium chance of stunning enemies, very nice, 10 BP only, do not hit floating enemies, but because she's an A style, she will not have enough intelligence to keep inflicting stun. The last one is Zany, and this one is also for inheritance. She has parry, so another character for parry usage, especially for people that are coming now to the game, they can use parry with the Platinum SS style of Zany. but she's not exactly a tank. It's mostly just as an off tank when you really don't have all your options for parry. And with this, we finish looking on all the characters that belong to Battle of Fate banner. Is this banner worth summoning for? In my opinion, yes. We have two very strong characters. We have a discounted banner. You only need around 30k gems to get at least one from pity. I already got Rouge, so even if I have to go full pity, it's still worth for me. But everyone has to understand that this month of December we have a lot of characters. I still believe it's worth, so it's up to you. And one more thing about Blue and Rouge is that if you have to pity only one of them, I do tend to prefer Rouge because of the combination of elements of Rouge is more hard to find. Blue uses a slash plus sun plus heat. Well, sun and heat is not so hard to find, and sun plus slash is also not so hard to find, while the sun element is plenty on the game. For Rouge, a combination of Moon and Pierce and Moon and Cold are very hard to find. Moon and Cold is only available in another style that's very far in the future, and that is Rouge, an ultra deluxe character that will be very hard to get. So if you have Judy, you can skip this version of Rouge right now because you have two different elements to cover. But if you also want two very strong dark element damage dealers and you can only pity one of them, getting Rouge and Judy together will also be very strong. But Blue is also considered one of the best sun damage dealers in Japan up to this day, and now with added heat and slash, it just makes it even better. It's a hard choice, but these are my thoughts. And now talking about the event, we have Red and Blue Trial, and this event is very interesting since it kinda tries to use part of the design of the treasure map event, but with some added features. This is a competition between Rouge and Blue, and we will participate in the competition to try to decide which staff we will get from the developers of the game. Well, let's click here on the next image. By playing story mode, we'll be getting trial keys. We need to bring at least one mage to the squad to make it drop, and once we get a lot of these trial keys, we can run a special dungeon that will be either Rouge themed or Blue themed to get blue or red emblems. Rouge will drop red emblems, Blue will drop blue emblems. And you need to decide which stage you want to farm because the game will give us a double S weapon that is called Caduceus. If more people farm the blue side of the event, we will get the light Caduceus. If people farm more the Rouge side of the event, we will get the dark Caduceus. It's interesting since it's a community event where everyone takes part, and both options are viable. You may need light Caduceus if you want your blue stronger, or maybe even your Princess White Rose. I don't believe that she needs this, but blue needs. And if you want your Rouge stronger, or from future dark mages, you want dark Caduceus. Like I said, there's no wrong answer, so decide upon your favorite character. I will be getting the Rouge path since I want him to become stronger, and I think we don't have many dark AoE damage dealers right now in the game, and having two strong like him and Judy together will be better in my case, while I can still make a full squad of light damage dealers to help Blue deal more damage. So just farm these trial keys by playing the main story mode. Bring at least one staff character. Don't forget to do this. And after the event is over, if everyone farmed a lot of these emblems, we will get even more rewards, like 4.5k gems, a lot of platinum tickets. There's 200 platinum tickets here, and gold and silver pieces alongside stamina. This event is also very nice to farm stamina, since every time we run the dungeon to get the emblems, we also get stamina back. So it's kind of infinity energy if you keep playing higher stages, and it's very good to farm more status. The last image shows that all of the featured characters from banner are getting triple status on the main story, while all mages in the game will receive double status. That's a very good, because yeah, we need to keep farming. The farming never ends, guys. And if you decide to use your keys on blue side, you have to click on Blue Trial, bring blue in your squad, it's needed, and run one of the 3 quests. You don't need to just run the first one. in my opinion, just run the last one because it's faster, and the rewards will be the blue emblem and this currency called magic shard. The last one is a stamina potion, so well, just run this if you want blue to win. If you want Rouge to win, go to red trial, bring Rouge into your squad, run the last stage with all the keys that you got, and just get red emblems or the magic shard and stamina potions. You get all of this type of stuff when you run. Let's just do a run here so you can understand. Right, just look on how many I got here. I got 15 actually. It's not so many, but I got some of this era red emblem and a lot of these magic shards. And now let's just give a look on the action shop. We have blue and Rouge skin. They were paid skins in the Japanese version of the game, and global are giving us for free. Very nice for those that like the characters. Also some platinum summon tickets, more stamina potions, and pieces for the recent styles of both Blue and Rouge and their past styles. It's very worth to get everything here, even if you have the maxes, so you can exchange for white crystals to trade for gold pieces. Well, and now for the stages that you want to farm. I am farming on episode 13. Usually on 13.2.4, I can use a squad like this one, where I'm training a lot of characters. It works with slash, mages, I kinda only need 3 characters to be able to kill all the enemies on stage. The other one that I'm also using is 13.2.2, very fast to clear as well. You can use blunt and some damage very fast. I heard some people in the community recommending 13.1.1 if you have Stun Yunjin, she can lock this Juggernaut. That's an option as well, but I'm not running any of these ones here. Only 13.2 since it has good caps, and I can also increase the status of characters that I'm planning to use. That's it, guys. I think this covers everything. I also want to thank the whole community that is helping this channel. We got some very good things recently. I was making a campaign to purchase 2 monitors to make better live streams, and everyone helped it. We reached the goal, and those things you helped this channel so much that, well, I just want to thank you all. So that's it, and if you want to keep supporting the channel, you can use the links on the description. Every donation I receive, I'll use to purchase more equipment. So we see each other in the next video. See ya, and bye.